Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into Celeste Ng's novel, Our Missing Hearts. It feels incredibly timely.
It really does.
And it's more than just a story, wouldn't you say? It's like this powerful lens for looking at, well, complex societal pressures, the power of fear.
Absolutely. And quiet courage, too.
Exactly. So our goal here is to kind of unearth the most crucial takeaways, the insights from the book, really give you a shortcut to understanding its world, the character struggles, and, why it feels so relevant right now.
Yeah, and what's truly striking, I think, is how Ng crafts this near future America that's been totally warped by this law called PAYCT.
PAYCT, right, the Preserving American Culture and Traditions Act.
Precisely. And it's a system that's born directly out of an economic meltdown, coupled with this really chilling wave of anti-Asian sentiment. And it all leads to the state actually sanctioning the replacement of children from families they decide are unpatriotic.
Wow.
The real insight there, I think, is how easily a crisis can be twisted,
Yeah.
exploited to redefine who belongs and to just erode basic human rights.
Exactly. And it's critical to grasp, isn't it, that PAYCT isn't just some abstract legal thing on paper.
No, not at all.
It's pervasive.
Yeah.
It gets into every corner of society. It basically weaponizes patriotism, right? It criminalizes anything considered un-American.
Yeah, it turns neighbors into informants. It's insidious.
And chillingly, it justifies tearing families apart, all under this guise of protecting children from harmful views.
Right.
So how does that actually play out? How does that fear feel day to day?
We really see it through the main character, 12-year-old Bird. He lives with his father, Noah, and their whole mantra, their life rule is keep a low profile. Don't do anything to call attention to yourself.
Constant vigilance.
Yeah, this constant self-censorship. And there's this stark example at school, right? His English teacher pointedly watches him, specifically because he's a person of Asian origin.
Yeah. As he's forced to write this assignment explaining why PAYCT is supposedly crucial for our national security.
Oof, the pressure in that moment. And you're right, this didn't just appear out of nowhere. Ng is brilliant at showing how PAYCT emerges directly from the crisis.
The economic collapse.
Yeah, this profound collapse that led to just widespread suffering, job losses, evictions, unrest.
Protests, riots.
Police in battle gear, tanks in the streets, the whole thing. And as the economy fell apart, the blame was, well, very cunningly shifted onto China.
Which then ignited that anti-Asian sentiment you mentioned.
Exactly. And suddenly, the definition of un-American just balloons.
Yeah.
It expands to include anyone with even perceived ties to China at all.
And the author connects this to real history, doesn't she?
She does. In her author's note, she mentions McCarthyism, books like Perilous Times, on tyranny, highlighting how these kinds of moral panics can be manufactured, how fear is weaponized historically.
We see that fear playing out in really mundane, awful ways, too. Like that scene at the pizza place.
Oh, yeah, where Bird and his father just witness an elderly man being refused service, just flat out told to go to a Chinese restaurant.
And Bird's father's reaction, it's immediate. Tells Bird, stay away from anything remotely Chinese, Korea, Japan, even the languages.
It just forces you to ask, what is the real long-term cost of that kind of enforced conformity on your identity, your self-worth?
It's devastating. And the cost, as the book painfully shows us, is so often paid by the most vulnerable children. And Sadie's story. It's just a gut punch, isn't it? Such a stark reminder of PAYCT's human toll.
Absolutely. She's a replaced child, turned away from her parents when she was just 11.
Right, just because it protested PAYCT.
Yeah. And her experience just immediately blows up the official story that these replacements are rare. She even says it bluntly, well, they aren't.
But even then, her defiance, it's kind of incredible. She secretly keeps a copy of her mother's protest video.
Right. Hides it on her phone, this dumbed-down smartphone, in a folder just labeled games.
It's such a small act, but so powerful, just desperately holding on to the truth in this world that's built on lies.
Yeah, and Sadie's trauma, her experience, it provides this really powerful contrast to Margaret's own childhood. Margaret is Bird's mother, of course.
Right.
And understanding her upbringing helps us see the roots of conformity. Why someone might initially choose to blend in.
She grew up with immigrant parents.
Chinese immigrant parents, yeah, in a Rust Belt town. And they just meticulously try to blend in, always trying to avoid prejudice.
How did they do that?
Well, Margaret remembers being dressed in suburban camouflage from the Sears catalog, and her parents had these sayings. Her father's was, the stick hits the bird that holds its head the highest.
Wow.
And her mother's, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. These weren't just bits of advice. They were like a survival blueprint.
Keep your head down, don't make wave.
Exactly. It was such a suppression of identity that Margaret never even heard them speak Cantonese. Total assimilation as protection.
So she had to escape that.
She did. She found refuge in the anonymity of New York City. And she had this realization. Here, no one noticed you, which meant you could do anything, be anything. That was her escape, her chance to find a truer self.
And it's in New York, in that freedom, that she finds her voice. She becomes a poet.
Right. Writes this collection, Our Missing Hearts.
Which, ironically, almost nobody reads at first.
Almost no one. Which makes what happens next even more striking.
Yeah, this is where her story takes this pivotal, almost accidental turn, isn't it? How does this overlooked poem suddenly become this potent symbol of rebellion years after it was published?
It becomes a symbol through tragedy, really. The poem gets transformed into an anti-pastorally slogan after a young protester, 19-year-old Marie Johnson.
Oh, right.
Is killed by a stray bullet while she's holding a sign.
Yeah.
And the sign has Margaret's words on it.
So Margaret's art, which was personal, suddenly gets thrust into the public sphere, weaponized against the state.
Exactly. And this act of remembering Marie, it isn't just a plot device. It's absolutely central to the novel's whole message.
But the consequences for Margaret are immediate and severe.
Oh, yeah. Her publisher is ordered to destroy the book. She gets threats, rotten fish, dog mess, even a bullet left on her doorstep. A talk show host targets your son, Bird.
Which leads her to make that impossible choice.
The impossible choice. She leaves Bird. She truly believes that her status as a traitorous PAO mother, as the state sees her, would only put him in more danger.
It's that agonizing dilemma you mentioned where protection feels like abandonment.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And later, Margaret really dives deep into Marie Johnson's story. She seeks out Marie's parents, learns about the real person behind the slogan.
And there's that incredibly moving detail about the China elephant.
Yes. Mrs. Johnson talks about this broken China elephant they had, how they painstakingly glued it back together, but the cracks are still visible only if you know where to look.
Such a powerful metaphor.
And Marie's father says something just devastatingly poignant. She's nothing but a slogan to them. They don't know the first thing about her.
It really underscores that theme, doesn't it? Behind every headline, every symbol, there's a unique individual story that needs to be remembered.
Absolutely. That's the core of it.
Margaret's journey, though, from just trying to survive to becoming this, well, reluctant rebel, it makes you think of other figures in history, doesn't it? What's the broader connection there?
Yeah, stepping back, what Margaret's story really highlights is this universal power that artists and storytellers often have as resistors.
Uh-huh.
The author, Ng, she actually notes parallels herself to the Russian poet Anna Akhmatova.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Akhmatova was forbidden to write during Stalin's purges, but she still found ways to secretly document the suffering, especially of her own imprisoned son and husband.
Yeah.
Her friends memorized her poems.
Wow. So it shows that even when systems try their hardest to crush expression.
Personal stories, the act of remembering, they can become these incredibly powerful forms of resistance. It's a quiet defiance, maybe, but it keeps truth alive when everything else is trying to extinguish it.
And Margaret, she isn't alone in that defiance, is she? She eventually finds this hidden network of resistance, and it's fascinating who ends up being central to it all.
It really is.
We're talking about librarians, people like Mrs. Edelman and Karina. Why librarians? What is it about them, their skills, that makes them so crucial in this fight against suppression?
It's such a brilliant stroke in the novel, isn't it? Librarians. Their whole profession is about gathering, organizing, preserving, and sharing information.
Guardians of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So they become these perfect guardians of truth in a world trying to erase it. And their method is just incredibly clever.
Coded messages.
Right. Names, ages, descriptions of missing children, details about their families, all pass secretly through the interlibrary loan system.
Disguised as call numbers on books.
Yeah. It's just this amazing testament to human ingenuity when faced with censorship. And this network, they also orchestrate these disruptions.
Right, these acts of protest that seem kind of random at first glance.
They seem weird, maybe pointless initially. Like thousands of ping pong balls printed with "Our Missing Hearts" suddenly floating down a river in Memphis.
Or that red web.
That image is so haunting. This web of knitted dolls representing the missing children, described as having big heads and snub limbs and dark hair. Eyes but no mouths. Just appearing overnight, strung up in Cambridge Comic.
Eyes but no mouths.
Chilling.
And there were others, a street painted red in Des Moines saying, "Our missing hearts, our missing children," a concrete cube with a crowbar left in Austin labeled, "Break our missing hearts."
These weren't just pranks, though. They had a deeper purpose.
Definitely not just pranks. They were deeply symbolic gestures, echoing real-world guerrilla art tactics. They were designed to challenge that dominant narrative of silence, to force people, even for a moment, to confront what was truly missing, what was being ignored.
And Ng drew inspiration from real events for these. She did. The author's note mentions things like the Races Caged Children statues, the Ottenpor movement in Serbia. It shows how these small, visible, public acts can actually pierce through that collective numbness, that forgetting.
It really makes you stop and think, though. What motivates someone to take those kinds of risks? For what seems like maybe just a sliver of hope, why join this dangerous underground network?
Well, that's really the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
The novel shows us that each librarian involved, each person in the network, has their own deeply personal reasons. But they're united by this desperate hope, as the book puts it, of making a match, of finding some information about a missing child or connecting a family.
Even if that information couldn't be used immediately.
Right. Even if that information could not yet be used.
Right.
It's about maintaining a record. It's about bearing witness, just keeping that flicker of hope alive against the darkness.
And we also meet Domi again, Margaret's old friend.
Yes, Domi, who's now known as the Duchess. And she provides crucial support refuge, resources, like the cabin where Bird and Sadie eventually hide out.
And her journey is interesting, too, isn't it? She wasn't always involved.
No. Initially, she was hiding out from the crisis, using her wealthy father's resources to essentially insulate herself. But she evolves. She's drawn into the resistance, becomes an active, crucial participant. It shows how even those who try to stand aside can be compelled to act when the injustice becomes just too undeniable, too unbearable.
So ultimately, Margaret decides she needs to do more than just collect the stories. She devises this plan to actually broadcast them.
A really audacious plan.
Yeah, using these things she invents called bottle caps.
Tiny speakers.
Right, tiny speakers hidden inside actual bottle caps packed with transistors and batteries and wires, designed to be planted discreetly all over public places in New York City.
It's ingenious.
And the goal isn't just spreading information, is it? For Margaret, it feels like something more profound.
Oh, definitely. It's a deeply personal act of witness for her. She believes, the book says, that certain things must be done in person. Testifying, attending the dying, remembering those who are gone. It's about giving voice to the silenced directly.
So what happens, what kind of impact does this unique grassroots broadcast actually have on people who are probably used to tuning out everything on the street?
Well, the impact is described as subtle, but also quite profound. These New Yorkers, usually so good at ignoring street noise and distractions.
Yeah, head down, keep walking.
Right. But they actually pause, they stop, and they listen. The book says it felt like a voice inside them, speaking somehow both to them and from them.
Wow, like it's tapping into something buried.
Exactly. It's the power of those individual stories breaking through all the static, resonating on this really fundamental human level.
But the outcome for Margaret herself? It's bittersweet, right?
Yeah, very bittersweet. She pushes the broadcast longer than planned, past the point where it seems safe. Domi is waiting for her, but she disappears. Domi finds the whole area cordoned off by police. Margaret is gone.
And what about Bird during all this?
Well, Bird, meanwhile, has had his own harsh awakening. He witnesses the brutality of the past CT world firsthand, including a vicious attack on an Asian woman on the street.
He sees the reality.
He sees the reality, and he finds refuge with Sadie at Domi's cabin. He confronts his mother earlier, calling her a hypocrite for leaving him, for seemingly abandoning her activism. But then, after seeing everything, after hearing the broadcast maybe, there's this shift.
A realization.
A profound realization. The book describes it as a change in his gaze, directed at his mother's memory or idea. How, I read in his eyes, can you look away now that you know?
That speaks volumes about the power of actually seeing, of knowing the truth. It changes you.
It absolutely does. And Domi, even after Margaret's disappearance, she finds this shred of renewed hope. She observes the people listening to the broadcast and notes that some of those stoned people were crying.
Even the hardened New Yorkers.
Right. And she believes it meant something, that this mattered. And crucially, the network doesn't just give up because Margaret is gone.
They decide to keep going.
They decide to keep looking. For Sadie's parents, for other lost families, for the children themselves, maybe even for Margaret. And to keep finding ways to pass on the stories, to remember them. It affirms that enduring power of collective memory, that relentless search for truth.
So when we wrap this all up, what does it really mean for us reading this today? Our Missing Hearts feels like so much more than just a dystopian thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this really profound meditation on loss, yes, but also on collective memory. It's a powerful, stirring call to remember. What really stays with you is how Nagin dissects the way fear can just corrode a society from the inside out. But at the same time, she illuminates this incredible resilience found in what seem like small acts of defiance, a whispered story, a piece of information carefully saved.
They're not small at all in the end.
Exactly. They're presented as these vital sparks, the things that keep hope alive, that maybe eventually can catalyze real change. We've sort of walked through it. You've heard how this young boy searches for his mother, how a poet's words accidentally become a battle cry, how ordinary people, librarians, become these unlikely guardians of truth.
Yeah, and looming out, I think the novel serves as this potent reminder, doesn't it? That even when a system seems completely overwhelming, totally insurmountable,
Right.
the simple act of bearing witness, of just remembering, of sharing stories that can be an incredibly powerful, persistent force against forgetting, against oppression.
It really poses a question to us, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you ask, how do we choose to remember? As individuals, as communities, what stories do we decide are important enough to keep alive, to pass on? Especially when it feels like the world around us is actively trying to make us forget certain things.
That idea of keeping a story alive, like a pin completing a circuit.
Exactly. That line from the book, a pin completing a circuit, lighting up feelings that have long lain dark. It's this idea that maybe just one person, 1 out of 8 million, a fraction of a fraction, could be moved enough to act.
And that it's not nothing.
It's not nothing. That moment when people finally stop, listen, and say, wait a minute, listen, this isn't right. That's where change begins.